Okay, it is Wednesday again. This is the Wednesday weekly learning session. My name is Carlos Navia. I'm here representing local bartending school as I do every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. Eastern time. I've been a bartender for many, many years in many states and 2 different countries. I've been working for local bartending school for about 8 years now. So I do this every Wednesday. I do a lot of one-on-ones on Zoom since COVID has occurred. Haven't really seen anyone in person. And you may recognize me from some of the videos. So, we talk about some different things every week. A couple things I feel like I keep, mentioning over and over because I keep seeing them. The cocktails in a can. I haven't seen any new ones this week that I didn't recognize because I seem to have my eye out for them now. But, high noon, there's all kinds of different ones made with vodka, made with different things that you're seeing out there. So definitely a trend that's not going away. The other one I talked about is digital menus. And actually, I don't think I put the picture on my computer, but I went out to lunch just now today with my wife. And sure enough, they have a table tent on there with a digital menu with a QR code that you can just hit with your phone and bring the menu up so they don't have to bring you physical menus. And I was surprised that my little old iPhone could get it from across the table about 4 feet away. It could still pick up the QR code about that big and read it and pull everything up. So I think you're going to see more of those. I think it's something, that definitely is not going away and is going to be utilized more in the future. So it's a great thing. It's easy to switch it. It's easy to 86 stuff if you don't have the ingredients to make it. So don't be surprised if you keep seeing those coming up more and more because I keep seeing them more and more around everywhere I go. The other thing I want to touch on before we kind of get into drinks today is just something I harp on. I can't say it enough, just being clean and sanitized. And, especially in the COVID age, what we're living in now, we got to make sure that people are comfortable. We got to make sure that people feel safe or they're not going to stay, and spend money. But even before that, I feel like I found that a lot of people like to get lazy. It's really easy to take your money at the end of the night and just walk out the door. And it's nice if you have the opportunity to do that, if you have a bar back that's going to clean up for you, put everything away, make sure everything's nice. Or in certain situations, the place I talk about here a lot, the Madonna Inn, they actually have an entire cleaning crew that comes through the whole building from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night. And 8 guys go through that place from head to toe. It's the only place I've ever seen people clean the hood vents in the kitchen every single night without question. They go through the entire building. That's their shift, 11 to 7 a.m. So, that was nice. I had the benefit of leaving the trash can full, leaving the floors dirty, and, wipe down the bar, try to be courteous and wipe down the stools, but it really didn't matter. I didn't even have to wipe down the bar because they're going to come wipe it down, clean it, and sanitize it anyway. They're going to do it every night. They do it every night. So yeah, it's nice if you're in that situation, but most of us aren't. Those situations are kind of few and far between. And even when I had a bar back to do all that stuff for me, I was never the type of person that was just going to count the money, tip them out, walk out the door. I count the money, I give them their share, and then I'm going to help them finish, and we're going to walk out the door at the same time. So if there's something left to be done, sweep, put bar stools up, do this, do that. I'm going to help them. I'm going to get them out of there. Not just going to walk out and leave them. But, that's the way I am. I've seen plenty of people that said that's not my job and walk out the door. So it does kind of depend. But, it's really too easy to just, hey, this doesn't matter, or no one sees this, or, it's not a big deal. I'll get it tomorrow. And it's so easy to do. And I kind of found myself in my personal life, waiting for my wife to get off work, and she's stopping to do every little thing. And I'm getting frustrated because the Dodgers are on and I want to watch the Dodgers on the playoffs. And, I stopped and I realized that I stopped and I checked myself, because I can't tell you how many times she sat there waiting for me while I did every little thing in the bar at 3 a.m. to make sure that it was all done before I left for the day and before I left for the night. So, she's done it plenty of times for me. I got no problem doing it for her, but it's something that's kind of been instilled in us both, that I don't walk out the door till everything's done. So it is important to kind of remember, these things. When you're coming in, when you're leaving, all the tables should be wiped down. Everything should be put back, cleaned, sanitized, ready to go for the next day. I was very surprised at one of the places I worked at here. They have live music every night. They have couches, a fireplace. It's out in the woods. It's a lodge, very cool place. But people have a good time. They get drunk. The room doesn't look like it started at the end of the night. I've seen people not only move tables and chairs, I've seen them pick up couches and move couches throughout the room. So a lot of bartenders would just pick up the glassware, wash it, wipe the bar down, and go home. And they would leave that entire room in disarray, not thinking about or realizing the fact that that's a common area of the hotel and that people are going to walk through that area when they check out the next morning to use the restrooms. Also, it's a place, I'm sorry if you can hear the sirens. Also, in this particular hotel, everybody gets a breakfast buffet with their hotel room. It's just included. A lot of people like to get their plate, go to the lounge, sit on a couch, eat lunch, eat their breakfast there. And I've seen people come in and do this. Ooh, because the tables are so sticky and so nasty and it's in such disarray in there. So, the room should look nice. Everything should be pushed back in. All the tables should be wiped down, and things like table tents or condiments that should be there, salt and peppers and stuff, should all be there, wiped down and ready to go for the next day. The other thing I'll say is, even though it's getting done at night, it also needs to be getting done by the person that's coming in as well. Because between the time that bartender leaves at night and the time that the bartender comes in the morning, a lot can happen. Kitchen guys get there before bartenders, and it's really easy for them to mess up a bar area, or mess up a bar. A distributor could have come by, brought some samples, dropped off some wine, done something that could have upset the area, and dirtied up the area. You never know when a repairman's going to come in to fix a cooler or fix a plumbing line or something like that. Dirty up your bar or dirty up your bar area. So we do want to make sure that we're starting off with a clean bar, clean tables, chairs, everything like that. And also that they're pushed in, they're arranged nicely, it looks good. If you got chairs with backs on them, make sure they're all spaced, give them a little turn, make them look nice. The bar should look aesthetically pleasing when I walk in. It should look nice. It should look organized. And one of my biggest pet peeves, nothing on the floor, which is the first thing I look for when I walk into a place. Is there something on the floor? Because the easiest thing to do is pick it up as you're walking by, stick it in your pocket, throw it away next time you're close to a trash can. So make sure it looks nice. Make sure we're starting off with a nice clean bar. Make it some water. Juice containers like these guys, make sure when we're filling them up, we're starting with fresh containers. We're putting fresh juice in. If the stuff's good from the day before, we're putting more in there. We're not just refilling the same container over and over for weeks or months and not cleaning them out. And in situations like in Florida, where I would go through, 4 things of pineapple a day, I'm going to have a lot of them backed up with the lid on them. They're all color coded. Grab one, pop the top on it, bam, you're ready to go, flow again. Throw this and the old bottom one in the dishland. Just make sure you're starting with good, clean stuff. The other thing, and I've mentioned this, but I just got one of these recently. The restaurant supply store got more of them. Sometimes these things will start to chug, especially if you're using orange juice in them that has pulp in it, and pulp will block this aeration hole at the top here. Easy way to make them pour fast, long drinking straw, straight down the big hole, if I can get it in there. Let it stick out a little bit, and they will pour lightning fast. It just creates another aeration hole, makes them pour super, super fast. Like in Florida, where a place I talk about that I work there is a top 100 grossing bar in the country. The restaurant would go on a 3-hour wait for dinner. There was no back wall. There were people on all sides of us, 360 degrees. It got pretty crazy. We would just set our bottles like this every day, just to make them pour as fast as possible, because it was as fast as we could get drinks into cups and get the money out of people's hands. So we just set them up like that. It's a really cool trick. If it falls in, have no fear. Grab another one, stick it in there. Straws should be clean, sanitary. You're giving it to someone to put in their mouth. It is not uncommon for me to finish one, open it up, and find a bunch of straws inside. Happens, just keep moving, keep going with it. So easy way to make those pour fast and make them a little more efficient when they start chugging on you. And Bloody Mary sucks in those, by the way. Just don't try it. It's going to clog it up. Leave it in the bottle it comes in. You can put the Zing Zang bottle, or whatever you use right in there. Other thing I'll say about these, it's real easy to wipe them down before I put them in the cooler and put them away at the end of the night. It's a lot easier for me to do that than it is for me to get down on my hands and knees and scrub the bottom of a sticky cooler when it starts to get nasty, because there's grenadine or there's cherry juice or there's something stuck to it. So give them a wipe down when you're putting them away, kind of make sure that they're clean. Salt ring. And I think most people know what this is, but I will put up a picture that I thought I had open, but I didn't. So I'll open a picture here in just a second. Cancel, whatever you're trying to do to me, Zoom. Bless your heart. The salt ring, we're going to have a sponge on there. We're putting Rose's lime juice on the sponge, which is mostly sugar. It's a lot of sugar in there. So we want to make sure that we're cleaning it, and it should really be cleaned every day. If you're not using it every day, don't set it up. And that's what I ended up doing at one of the places I worked at here, for that exact reason, that they had let it sit around so long that it had gotten quite disgusting. If I can find the picture, there we go. I came into this place, and I won't mention the name of the place because I just won't. But I came into this place for my first day, and the bar manager was showing me around. The assistant general manager was standing there. I saw their salt ring just like this. And every night, all they would do is collapse it up and put it away. And no one ever washed it. And I looked at it and I was like, that's disgusting, because I could tell something without even examining it. And they're like, why? And I went over and I picked up the sponge, and sure enough, under the sponge were just hundreds of dead fruit flies. I mean, hundreds of them. And they had no idea that they were underneath there, because no one ever looked and no one ever cleaned it out. I can't even imagine when the last time someone washed it was. So I ended up if I didn't use it, I didn't set it up. Someone ordered a margarita, I set it up. End of the night, I washed it. That place, that was once a week, maybe twice. So it was just more efficient to do it that way. If you are using it, wash it, please clean it. We all battle fruit flies in every country in bars. So that is an easy way to stop them, because that is just sugar being left out that they have access to. Along with that, when it comes to the fruit tray, like this, we have our white containers in there that we're putting our fruit in. When we're filling it up, we want to make sure we're using a fresh, clean one to start. We're putting new stuff on the bottom. If the stuff from the day before still looks good, put it on top, make sure that it gets used first. My theory on if it's questionable, throw it away. Like if it's questionable, there's no question. If it's not good, if it doesn't look good, throw it out. Lemons and limes don't cost too much. I don't think there's a situation where people don't have access to lemons and limes. I know things kind of got weird during the pandemic, but I'm pretty sure that they're readily available. Everybody can get them. There's nothing worse than being served a brown lime on a drink. Like it makes me not even want to drink it. It just it ruins the whole experience. So make sure you're working with fresh stuff. You want to make good drinks that people enjoy. You want to give them fresh fruit and a good garnish. The other thing I will say on this, and give me a second, because I don't want to lose my computer. Just telling me it's not plugged in. Sorry, I thought I almost lost my computer for a second. Okay, cool. The other thing I'll say about the fruit tray, a lot of people just change out those containers and never clean the darn whole tray itself. Take them all out and wash it. A lot of stuff spills into the bottom, cherry juice, olive juice, stuff like that. Remember that the thing itself is housing food that we're giving to people to consume. So make sure it's clean, give it a good cleaning, scrub it out, make sure it's clean and sanitary. It is holding food for people. I think something that goes by the wayside behind the bar that a lot of times doesn't necessarily in the dining room where the servers is wiping down condiments and stuff like that. I've gone to get a ketchup bottle that's sticky or a Tabasco bottle that's sticky, and it's just disgusting because if you can't even wipe that down, I hate to think what else they're letting go in their restaurant. And it doesn't take a lot to wipe it off, make sure the stuff's clean before you're giving it to people. And the other thing is the inside of the cap. I give someone a Tabasco bottle and it's just crusted on the inside of the cap with dried Tabasco, or a mustard bottle that's got crust and stuff on it. It is really disgusting, and it's unappetizing. The first place I worked at, my first full service bartending job, was a place called the Back Porch in Orange Beach, Alabama. They sold that restaurant, but they still have like 2 other locations, as well as 100+ more restaurants under one umbrella, which is called Southern Restaurant Group. Now, the owner of it Um, his grandson, John Cormer, now owns it and runs the place. I don't know if General Cobb's still around. He was pretty old, but at the time he ran that, I actually met his grandson when he was still in college before he took over the business. Um, he liked to come to the restaurant in the off season when there was not another soul in it. And they liked to hide me a lot because I did not follow a lot of corporate rules. Bless their hearts for letting me get away with stuff. Prescription sunglasses, my name tag says, dude, I'm not the person they generally want at the door greeting people, but they were happy I was there that day because they were happy someone was at the hostess stand to greet him, sat him down, got them some iced teas, went into the back, said, by the way, everybody's boss is here. And they jumped, they ran out, of course, to kiss his butt. But it was funny because they had told me he does this. And he, sure enough, I watched him do it. When he gets seated at the table, the first thing he does is take out the Tabasco bottle and look inside the cap to see if people are cleaning it or not. The person that runs every single restaurant, that's the first thing he looks for when he sits down at a table in one of his restaurants. So make sure your condiments are clean, make sure they're nice, make sure it looks good for people, to use with their lunch or whatever they're having. When it comes to cleaning glassware and putting it away, it is supposed to be dry. The sanitizing rinse that we use, and a lot of times if you're using the 3 sinks, you'll see something in a packet called Bar Clean. It evaporates with the water. So when the water evaporates, there is no longer sanitizer on the glass. So they are supposed to be dry. Now, if you serve someone a drink in a wet glass, will it hurt them? No. It's sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all bacteria and viruses. Generally, if I'm just making a bourbon and Coke or something like that, no one's going to taste it. The one time sanitizer has come back and caused a problem and caused us to lose a couple drinks was at a place I worked at in Southern California called the Beer Hunter. 175 different beers, 35 to 40 on tap. What was ending up happening was our barbacks were taking wet glasses, stacking them up, putting them in a freezer. Then I would take the frozen glass, pour a draft beer, and there would be little icicles of sanitizer on top. And the person's first sip would taste like sanitizer, and they would complain about their beer and send it back. Now, me and the general manager spent 3 days going through this place, trying to figure out what was wrong. So we're messing around with 35, because it wasn't just one beer. We're messing around with 35 different tap lines. We're pulling every trick in the book we've ever thought of, trying to figure out this problem for almost 3 whole days when we finally figured out what it was. And we let the glasses dry and we never had that problem again. So that's the only time it'll really come back. But when you are stacking glasses have to be stored rim down on a clean graded surface, never up because stuff falls in them, bugs get in them, stuff like that. Never stack glasses that are different kinds because they will lock together. Only stack light glasses. And we want to make sure they're dry before we stack them too, because once I stack it, the moisture is trapped in the middle there and it can't dry properly. So they should all be dried. When it comes to stemmed cocktailware, like a martini glass, wine glass, champagne glass, something like that, should be polished, hung up by the base, or polished and put rim down. Please polish the glasses. There's nothing worse, especially out here in wine country where I live, to grab a wine glass, look at it, go, ooh, grab another one, ooh, until you get 4 or 5 glasses down. And then I finally go, let me just wash one and polish it because I might be going here all day. I will call them out on this one. Madonna and I worked out here, very nice place, very expensive place. I took down a wine glass at a day shift and I looked at it one time and there was a piece of lettuce stuck and dried onto the side. So that person was not only too lazy to polish the glasses, but was lazy enough to think, that's good, I'll just leave that up there for someone else to get. So put away clean glassware, make sure it's clean, make sure it's polished, make sure it's ready to go the next day for the next person. All right, let me get some more water. Here we go. Wash the drip mats. That's all I gotta say. Just wash them, please wash them. Don't just leave them there on the bar. Wash them, please. Put them somewhere to dry. And the other thing that I think is kind of funny that I've run into in a bunch of places is people seem to get very attached to their drip mats. Distributors will give you new ones every 3 to 6 months. Just ask, throw the old ones out, use new ones. Don't get attached to them, please. Wash them, throw them out every 3 to 6 months. Just get new ones. They can't wait to give you new ones because every liquor company wants you to have their name right there on your bar. So they will give them to you, get new ones. At the end of the night, we should be burning out the ice well, meaning we're taking all the ice out of it. We're pouring hot water down there, rinsing all the ice out. We're wiping it down, cleaning it, and sanitizing it. I know it doesn't happen at a lot of places, but it really should. It really does get nasty. It really does get dirty at the bottom. The easy trick to doing it is just don't fill up the ice well too full late into the night. I know when I'm getting an hour or two towards closing, I'm not going to grab a bunch of ice and throw it back in there, because then I'm just going to have to get that bucket again, get the big scoop, take it all back, throw it out. Most restaurants and bars have a floor drain in the kitchen, a big square floor drain in the kitchen, which you use to throw out mop buckets. You can just throw the ice in there. Where I live in California in a drought, we don't waste water that way. You got to go throw it in the trees outside so they get some extra water. So some places will tell you to do that as well, but make sure it's cleaned out, sanitized, and all that stuff's taken out every night. I don't see a lot of anymore what they called cold plates that go in there. The soda lines run through. I'm not going to go through the whole explanation of the soda lines and the soda gun and the compressor and everything right now. But if you do have an old school one where the cold plate sits in there and there's hoses coming in and out, empty it out, pick it up and clean it. It gets disgusting. It gets nasty underneath. Most of them now it's built into the bottom, and you can tell it's built into the bottom because it'll have the 4 sidewalls will be stainless steel and the bottom will be lead. And if you look underneath, there's hoses going in, there's hoses going out. It's cold plate. So clean it out. The other thing is sanitize it before you start the next day. A lot of them have covers, so stuff can't get in there. A lot of them are just left open. So it takes nothing to get a sanitized rag, wipe it down real quick, make sure it's sanitized before I throw the ice in there and I start for the day. The other thing is, once I've taken a pitcher of hot water and poured it out and got all the ice out there and cleaned and sanitized it, I can take that whole pitcher. I can take that same pitcher, put it in the bottom of the well, fill it full of soda water, drop the gun in there, let it soak overnight. It keeps stuff from getting gucked up in the gun and it getting nasty and disgusting. Wipe down the bottles in the rail every night. Take them all out, wipe the rail down, including the face, wipe the bottles down, put them away. Ones that are on the shelf behind you. If you're bored, if it's slow, pick a shelf, take them all down, wipe the shelf, wipe them off, put them all back up there. If you've got the 3 sinks, and every bar should have a hand sink at least with a faucet, and handles, you should have a green scrubby or an SOS, something like that. Scrub around it. Black mold comes very, very fast in bar sinks. It takes seconds to scrub it off every day. And something I think we forget to do sometimes is wipe down the coolers that are down behind you. A lot of stuff can spill, a lot of stuff can splash. It does show up. I know in some dark bars, it's not very noticeable until you actually grab a rag and wipe the cooler door down. And then you notice how much better it looks and how much cleaner it is. So, old cheesy saying that someone's drilled into my head. A clean bar is a happy bar. One of my managers, and it still sticks to this day, but it's true. It's nice to work in a clean environment. People like being in a clean environment. And you'd be surprised sometimes how much people respond monetarily as well when they see you working hard and putting in that extra effort to make sure that things are clean, things are sanitized, and everything is nice for them and their experience. So I started talking about coffee drinks last week, and there were a lot of coffee drinks. So there were some more I wanted to talk about, and I knew I was going to break it into 2 different parts. I don't know where my pin is. So I talked about Irish coffee, did a little Irish coffee example. Along the lines of that, Mexican coffee, it is a common one too, which is just going to be equal parts Kahlua, tequila, coffee, top it with whipped cream, some ground cinnamon, some nutmeg, something on top goes really well with that as well. But then I started kind of looking at, well, if we've got Mexican coffee and Irish coffee, what else do we have? Italian coffee. There's a certain liqueur called Strega, Strega. amber kind of gold color, specialty Italian liqueur. The word strega means witch, and I'm not quite into. Next week will be Halloween cocktails, so it's the witch's liquor. Tastes like mint. You taste fennel, juniper in there. So if we did that, sugar, coffee, a little cream on top, or a little whipped cream, that's your Italian coffee. Kentucky coffee. That one's, you can kind of read where that one's going. Bourbon, Kahlua, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of sugar, a little whipped cream on top, and you've got your Kentucky coffee there. I liked this one too. Well, we're gonna do this one in just a second. I like this one too, though. Cafe Amore, and it put in parentheses on the website I was getting this one from, which is liquor.com, which is not where all of them are from. But it also said French Connection, but I've heard French Connection as something different too. I've heard it as like French martini. So French vodka, Chambord or raspberry liqueur, pineapple juice, shaken up, strained, French martini or French Connection. Heard it both ways. But I like this one. Cognac, amaretto, coffee, whipped cream, a little bit of shaved almonds on top of that. Sounds good. Sounds nice. So Bavarian coffee, and this one sounded good, not just kind of for fall and for where everything was going, but also going into the Christmas season. I could see this one kind of being a good one. So let's see if we can kind of do a little Bavarian coffee here. So I have my faux Kahlua, and I'm gonna go ahead and put an ounce of that into my coffee cup. That. And the other thing I'm gonna put in there would be peppermint schnapps. So I don't have a peppermint schnapps bottle, but I just need something clear. We'll give an ounce of that as well. Like that. So a little coffee liqueur, a little peppermint flavor. Got some coffee here. Top it off with some coffee. Put a little spoonful of sugar in here to sweeten it up. That nice and stirred in there, mixed in there. And top it off with a little bit of whipped cream. Make it nice and pretty. Like that. So you got a little coffee liqueur, you got a little mint flavor to it as well with the peppermint, a little sweetness from the sugar and the whipped cream. But what I think this would go good for as a Christmassy type cocktail was if you were to garnish it on top with the whipped cream, maybe with a small peppermint candy cane. Easy to find. They cost, I don't know, $5 for a giant bag of them. Put it on there so it's got that peppermint taste. You got a little candy cane you can mix in there well. And I think that would make a great kind of Christmassy drink as we get a little further into that season. Talking about that one. This one I wanted to try as well because I just want to see kind of how it turns out and how it looks. Now they called it, I'm going to put this one off to the side. They called this one Espresso Summer. So I have worked in a bar that would do espresso drinks. I have actually, I guess now worked in 2 places that would make espresso. Once again, I don't drink coffee. I don't know a whole lot about coffee, but I've had to learn how to make espresso and kind of what it is and what lattes and mochas and stuff like that are. One of the places I worked at, you would go in before every shift, you would make 2 double shots of espresso, you would pour it into a squeeze bottle and you'd just keep it in a cooler. And you could just use it from there, putting an ounce, putting a half ounce, I don't think we only used, into the espresso martini that they had. And generally 2 double shots would get you through the night. So you just did it and made it fresh every day. It kind of depends on where you work at. If they have espresso, it just depends on the situation and whether or not they have a real espresso machine. Place I worked out down in LA in the San Fernando Valley in Encino, I had to learn how to do it. I had to learn how to put it in there, pack it down, stick it in the machine, foam everything, and do it for myself because we did not always have a barista. Oh, but there were days we did have a barista, thank God. And I had no problem tipping the barista. He made it look prettier than me. He did a better job. He was much more into coffee than I was. But, went through the whole process. And yeah, you'd have to go do that and take it to the bar as well. But in a situation like the country club here, where they just got an automated machine where you put the cup in and you hit espresso or mocha or latte, or you just hit whatever you want kind of on there, like a little silly machine. That made it easier. But this one's going to be cold. This one's going to be on the rocks. So I've got my rocks glass here and put this to the side. Grab my mixing tin here. I'm going to throw a little ice in here. Get some in the scooper. Perfect. So I'm going to do, I just need something clear. So if I did 1.5 ounces of gin, so throw that up, drop that in there. Then I'm just going to do, and you'd be using espresso. This is just actually Folgers crystals that I stole from my wife. So you do 1 ounce of espresso in there with it as well. Put that on there. I'll grab my simple syrup, and I'm going to do 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Bam, in there like that. And then I'm going to do 1/2 ounce of orange juice in here as well. Perfect. All right. Lock it in place, give it a good shake, smile. Easy smile. All right, grab my rocks glass. Some fresh ice in there. And some frothiness from the orange juice. I'm gonna get it nice in there like that. A little bit of that in there. And then I'm going to finish it off here with an orange twist. I'm going to take care off the side. All the way around. Squeeze it in there nicely. Stick it in there. Come on, napkin. Can't reach my napkins. Yep, and that's our espresso summer right there. And it looks pretty good. Wouldn't be my drink, you know, and depending on the kind of gin you're going to use, you're going to get a different taste. You're going to get a different flavor because all gins are a little bit different, have a little bit of different flavor to them. Let's see what else I have here. Okay, so, you know, mudslide's an easy one with some coffee liqueur in it. Vodka, Kahlua, Bailey's Irish Cream. Can be done on the rocks, but a lot of people like to do it with vanilla ice cream, do it as a blended drink, put a little whipped cream on top, you know, a little cinnamon, a little nutmeg goes good with that. Vanilla vodka, I think goes great in that as well, gives a little something to it. The other one that's kind of weird, and I've worked at, now the train too. I worked at a place up here, Cambria Pines Lodge, that has a Christmas festival, and they would serve a hot buttered rum. And a traditional hot buttered rum, you're going to use, you know, several different, you're going to use nutmeg, you're going to use cinnamon, you're going to use a lot of different things. You're really going to put an actual pat of butter right on top of the drink to finish it off. Most places don't have a lot of that stuff laying around. I found it funny that this particular place used a packet mixed, a powdered mix, and you just mixed it with hot water and you stirred it up and it was just a powder. I guess. I've also had a student tell me that the bar he works at uses powdered pina colada. I didn't know that was a thing either, that you could powder that up. You know, if you wanted to do it, there's a real good recipe on liquor.com. And the idea would be to make up the butter ahead of time, so that all I really need to do is put some rum, hot water in there, and then add the butter that's pre-made. Butter, brown sugar, white sugar, some cinnamon. It says here nutmeg, cloves, and some vanilla ice cream you could mix in there, give it some creaminess to it. Then all I'd have to do, grab my coffee mug, put my shot of rum in there, you know, put an appropriate amount of that in there, add hot water, stir it up, boom, you'd be ready to go. You'd have your hot buttered rum. So if anyone wants to look that up, they can check into that, liquor.com. I've got that on there. That's all I talked about. The other one I'll throw in that's not actually a coffee drink, but since I see a lot of people in the store buying cold medicine, and my stepdaughter in Connecticut is on the couch with a scratchy throat right now. And I know mine sounds scratchy, but that's just because I talk all day and not because I'm sick. This is how I always sound. There's a drink for that. there's a perfect drink for that, a hot toddy. You know, whiskey or brandy, you can use either. And we find a lot of recipes that go back and forth. Some people like them whiskey, some people like them brandy, like Manhattans. A shot of either, you know, about an ounce of honey, squeeze a little lemon in there. And if I'm at the bar and I squeeze a lemon in there and I get some seeds in there, I take my spoon, I get the seeds out for the people. They don't need the seeds in their drink. And then just fill it up with hot water from the coffee machine. Give it a nice stir to let that honey dissolve in there. Give it a lemon to garnish, a couple straws. Bam, you've got your hot toddy. If you're starting to feel a little scratchy, if you feel like you're starting to get something, a couple of those, lay on the couch, put something on Netflix, you'll feel fine. You'll be better in no time. Really, really, really easy. Really, really good one there. So what I haven't discussed that I've seen a bunch of places and just talked about kind of getting the espresso out is espresso martinis. And I don't know if they still have the popularity that they once had. You know, coffee's still big, coffee's still huge. One of the very popular places where I live here downtown makes kind of a version of it they call the painkiller, which I have been told confidently that there are two things they put in there that are not on the menu, because when you read it on the menu, it kind of says Kahlua and a couple other things, but they're like, that's not everything that's in there. So I can't duplicate it because I have not been able to crack anyone to give me the secret of the painkiller, or I'd love to do that too. But I've worked at, you know, a couple different places where they've done espresso martinis and in a couple different ways and a couple different things added to them. But really easy if you wanted to do it. Take my martini glass, go ahead and give it a little bit of ice in here. A little more than I wanted. That's all right. Give it some water. And we're going to set it to the side, let it chill for just a second while I mix up my martini. I'm going to rinse my equipment out real quick. So once again, you know, vodka in there. I saw some variations, people putting whiskey in them as well, and some caramel syrup, or some brandy and butterscotch, and kind of mixing it up a little and some different ideas. I've also worked at places that'll put, you know, creme de coco in there or other stuff like that, you know, to make their espresso martini. But really easy to do if you have some fresh espresso to put in there. If you are at a place that makes espresso and you have it around, got my glass chilling. I'm just going to go ahead and get a little more ice here. I'm going to do my 1 ounce of espresso. Try not to make too much of a mess. There we go. I'm going to do my ounce of Kahlua. And once again, I would use vanilla vodka. You can just use regular vodka. Especially, I feel like vanilla vodka goes good with Kahlua, goes good with creme de coco. That's kind of my personal thing, but you're welcome to try different things or do it however you like. Once again, I'm going to pop my glass in there, give it a good shake. Get that nice and mixed up in there, get that nice and cold and frothy. Back here. And take my glass, strain it out, try not to hit it on the bar and break it like I do sometimes. And we get a nice espresso martini with a nice little frothy top. And if you have espresso and you're making those kind of coffee drinks, you probably have available a couple coffee beans that you could float on the foam on top there. 1, 2, 3, or in a nice pattern or something like that. Make it look colorful, make it look pretty. And bam, that would be your espresso martini right there with my cocktail napkin. And I don't have coffee beans at my house. Once again, I don't like coffee. So we'll put this guy off to the side. And a couple more I liked, and at least one more I'm going to do here. This one I saw, Kahlua Midnight Cocktail. So Kahlua, an ounce of Kahlua, half an ounce of whiskey, ounce of Irish cream. You know, you do it in a big glass on the rocks. Fill it up with coffee, or sorry, you would do it in a coffee mug, like our Irish coffee mug. So Kahlua Midnight, whiskey, Irish cream, fill it with coffee, top it with whipped cream. So yes, I had to look up what is Kahlua Midnight. Kahlua Midnight is, because I see them in the store too. I see the different variations of Kahlua that they've come out with, although I don't know that much about them. Kahlua Midnight is a little bit stronger than regular Kahlua because it is mixed with more rum than regular Kahlua. Kahlua is different than other coffee liqueurs because it has rum in it. So it is stronger, it is heavier on the rum. Kahlua Midnight. So Kahlua Midnight, half ounce of whiskey, ounce of Irish cream like Bailey's, fill it up with coffee, top it with whipped cream. And you know, any real combination of brandy, Bailey's, Frangelico, Amaretto, Kahlua, and creme de coco. If you put any of those three in a cup with coffee and whipped cream, you're probably going to do okay. People are probably going to like it. I talked about the French Connection, the Bavarian coffee, espresso summer we did. So where's the other one I wanted to do? All right. So Paradise Found, I like this one too. Good coffee drink, but on the rocks. If you did spiced rum like Captain Morgan's or Ron Zaccapo, Mount Gay, something like that. Butter shots, which once again is butterscotch schnapps. I actually said it without twisting my tongue. Butter shots, a little sugar, some coffee in there, and a little bit of cream. Shake it up, strain it over the rocks, maybe a couple of coffee beans to garnish. Paradise Lost. And then this one, I really want to kind of see what this one looks like. Called it a Kahlua coffee soda. So we're going to do this on the rocks. In my nice big pint glass here. I'm going to do my 1 ounce of espresso. Like that. Go ahead and do 1.5 ounces of Kahlua. Like that. We're going to throw some bitters in here, like this. Throw a little ice in here. A little ice. Just going to mix it up just a little bit here before I add the rest of the stuff to it. It's just mixed in there, that stuff kind of mixed around. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to top it off with some club soda. And then on top of the club soda, I'm going to put some cream. I'm going to float a little bit of half and half. Just a little bit around the top, like that. And there we have Kahlua coffee soda. Yeah, looks like that. So it looks pretty cool with the cream coming down through everything, through the soda water. The soda water kind of breaks up everything and mixes it all together. So it does have a cool effect. It did look cool. That was kind of what I was hoping for as it drapes down there. All right, we'll put you off to the side. So that concludes me talking about coffee drinks, but I have to do one more and actually have someone here to drink it today who will not be on camera. So I will make it and know that it's not going to go to waste. So we'll use some real liquor in this one. Let me rinse out my stuff real quick. So this one has nothing to do with coffee. This is simply because I was watching Netflix with my wife a couple days ago or last week, whenever it was. And there's a show on there called Sex Education about a kid and his mother who's a sex therapist. And she goes out to a bar with a friend, and the friend can't decide what to drink. So she says, close your eyes and point. And she closes her eyes, points, and ends up ordering a 3-legged monkey. So the first thing I did was pull out my phone and Google what's a 3-legged monkey so that I could make it and try it. So we found the recipe for the 3-legged monkey. And it's not too difficult. It's not too hard. So we'll give the three-legged monkey his day in court here. We'll grab a little ice from my mixing tin because we're going to give this one a little shake before we put it over the rocks. Just fine right there. Now, the recipe I looked up and what it called for was Canadian whiskey. But my wife likes Johnny Walker Black, so we're going to substitute some Scotch whiskey. And I'm going to go ahead and take 1.5 ounces of my Johnny Walker Black here into my jigger. Boop, over the ice, just like that. We're going to come back with some Amaretto di Serrano here. And we're going to do 1.5 ounces of them. And we're going to throw them in there with our Scotch. Then I'm going to do about 3 ounces of pineapple juice. That. Give it a nice shake. Get it nice and mixed up. Come on, buddy. Let me get some fresh ice here in my tulip glass, my specialty glass. Now, here's the thing though. My wife loves pineapple with a seasoning called tahini. Now, if you're not familiar with tahini, because you don't live where there are Latinos, it is sea salt with ground up chilies and dehydrated lime juice. So it's a little spicy, a little salty, a little bit of chili in there. So she suggested this, and since this is going to be for her, we're going to go ahead and give this guy a tahini rim. Here like this. I'm just going to take a lime, the rim nice and sticky, like that. Into my tahini. I got a nice tahini rim on there now. Perfect. Get some fresh ice here into the cup as I drop my thing. All right, I'm going to use something else that I'm not supposed to. Get a little more ice in there. Perfect. Strainer. Strain this out over some fresh ice. Nice color to it. Nice look to it. Out there. Then I'm going to give it a nice straw here. Some more ice cubes on top. Then I'm going to garnish it with a little bit of pineapple, a little bit of cherry, and then we'll put another piece of pineapple on there. And we'll set that in there just like that. And we have our three-legged monkey with a tahini rim ready to go, ready to serve. Are there any questions about anything I talked about today or anything else? Pretty close to time.
I noticed that you scoop the ice out with glass.
I know, I dropped my that's why I said I'm about to do what I'm not supposed to do right here. I dropped my other one. And you know what? If I wasn't actually making it for my wife with real liquor, I would have just continued with it because it wouldn't have mattered. But I went to great lengths to make sure that this was going to be actually sanitary for her to drink, unlike the stuff I just throw into the yard out here. So,
Okay.
so yes, totally busted me. I was calling myself out on it too, but yeah, you totally got me. I'm like, screw it, it's just a couple more ice cubes. I got to finish this off. Get this done. Good eye, then. Good eye, Mike. Anything else?
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention.
Okay, I know. Thank you. You're going to show up too. All right. Next week, Halloween cocktails. We're going to talk about spooky drinks. So we'll have some good ideas, and get it in on Wednesday. So there's time before the weekend. If you want to try some different Halloween cocktails, have a Halloween party or put out some Halloween specials at the bar you work at, we'll have some good ideas and we'll go through and talk about some of them. I definitely want to do a zombie or at least a mock zombie because I want to see the effect. A couple drops of grenadine into the orange juice gives this weird color effect. And I keep saying, looks like a real zombie. And I gotta remember The Walking Dead is not a documentary. It's just a TV show. Zombies aren't real. So we'll talk about zombies. We'll talk about some other drinks that I've got, some Halloween drinks, and we'll have some fun next week as well. All right. Thank you very much for showing up. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.